Hi, Lester. We're back with another masterclass. And today we are looking at one particular expression that I think is very, very useful in a business context. And that's why we want to get our Fluency community members using this particular expression. And the expression we're going to be talking about is to deal with, to deal with. And it's a useful one, isn't it, Alistair? It really is in all sorts of scenarios.
Yeah. I mean, of course, deal, as I'm sure some of our members will go, but isn't that like a business deal or it's a deal? Like trato hecho. But that's a different
como
meaning
trato
of
hecho,
deal.
sí.
Today, maybe another masterclass, we could look at that meaning of deal. But today, we're not looking at that. We're looking at a different meaning, which is to deal with people or situations.
Yeah.
You can use it in both senses. Or deal with something. It can be a thing or a person.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I think you had an example, didn't you, Dan?
I did.
Before.
I did. Yeah.
Quite a difficult situation you had to deal with recently.
Yeah. Yes, because it was my son's birthday recently. And it's kind of an interesting moment of the year always, partly because, we have several different birthdays. We have the birthday, just the four of us. Then we have the birthday with the family. Then we have the birthday with the kids. So it's kind of like one of those Greek weddings that just goes on forever and ever. Yeah. But the one situation that was a little bit more difficult to deal with, I have to say, was the one where we invite the other kids from my son's class. Yeah. Now, luckily, we don't get them to come into my house or anything like that. That would be really, really very tricky. And not many people do that, to be honest. So we go to a special place. We went to a special place in this particular situation where they were going to do like some sort of running around activity, and then they have some food afterwards.
Yeah, there's lots of places now specialized, don't they? It's a
business. It's a business. Yeah.
Parties.
Yeah. But I would have to say that dealing with these kids is very much like dealing with wild animals. I think it's the best metaphor that you can really think of. I mean, it's like a zoo. It's like a zoo. And of course, you're not necessarily an authority figure for them because you're just another
you're
dad.
A parent of one of them, not
That's right.
The rest of them.
That's right. And so what tends to happen is, of course, all the kids are dropped off and you are sort of responsible for them for the next sort of 2 hours or so. I am responsible for them. I'm not the responsible, which is a common mistake, right?
Yeah,
but I am responsible for them, at least for those.
You're in charge of them.
Yeah, I'm in charge of them. Yeah,
period of time. You're the boss.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as I say, it was a situation that was a bit tricky to deal with, I have to say. Not very easy at all. I think I need to get better at it. That's for sure. But of course, I don't have much practice. It's once a year.
Training courses.
It's once a year. It's once a year. So I doubt I'm going to get much better at it. Yeah. But yeah, I had to deal with those sort of wild animals, and it wasn't easy.
Because I suppose some of them are well behaved and they're easy to deal with. The ones who listen to you and do what they're told and sit there quietly, more or less. And the others that are crazy and run off, don't listen to a word you say, don't obey.
That's right.
Do their own thing.
That's right.
Make a lot of noise and shouting and causing problems. No, and
absolutely.
They're the ones that are difficult to deal with.
That's right.
Particular badly behaved kids.
Exactly. And that's the exact context where you would use deal with, right? You can deal with a problem. You can deal with an issue. You can deal with maybe you need to deal with a person, a person of some kind, right? And I needed to deal with lots of little people in that particular case.
Animals. Their parents wouldn't be very happy if they heard you referring to their lovely, adorable little perfect children, because everyone thinks their own children are
absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
not all the time, but as animals. But anyway,
Yeah.
So it's interesting because it's two things. You had to deal with that difficult situation. Where you were in charge and you had to keep everything under control, and it wasn't easy. So you're having to deal with that issue, problem, situation, and deal with people. So you're dealing with little people. So dealing with kids.
Yeah.
And some of those kids would have been easier to deal with than others.
Absolutely.
Well behaved, not a problem. But the ones not well behaved and don't listen to you. Don't do what they're told were more difficult to deal with.
Absolutely.
Use it with people, and it's where people cause you problems, I suppose, by their behavior.
Yeah, exactly. So
example, we did think of another one.
We did. We did.
But it's exactly the same, really.
It is absolutely
an airport situation. Perhaps.
I
don't know if this has ever happened to you. If
It hasn't happened to me, but I think it's happened to my wife several times. Several times. I've been lucky so far, but yeah. We kind of thought about this, the context of, like, you fly from one place to another, or maybe you're kind of flying back home, and then you kind of arrive and you're waiting at the conveyor belt for your luggage, and it just doesn't appear, right? And so then you kind of think about that person who has to deal with all of those people in that particular situation or scenario.
Angry
right?
customers
who are kind of like saying, okay, I've arrived, and where's my suitcase?
Where's my luggage?
Where are all my clothes?
Yeah, what are you going to do about it?
That's right.
Or are cancelled, all kinds of problems with flights. Get cancelled at the last minute.
Yeah.
Or delayed by hours and hours, or losing your luggage. All these kind of typical problems with airlines.
Absolutely.
Overbooking. Yeah. You say, sorry, you can't get on the plane because we booked 2 people in the same seat.
Yeah.
So obviously you have customer services where you go to the place in the airport. And of course you've got angry people that are very upset, very stressed, and they're directing all their anger and their animosity towards you.
Absolutely.
So you're just an employee. I mean, probably not paid very well either, I imagine, in that job. So this poor person has got to take these people shouting at them or insulting them or crying. So it could be very stressful. So that person in the customer services of the airline has to deal with that issue.
Yeah.
Deal with that situation, very complicated situation, deal with that problem, and deal with those people.
Absolutely.
So dealing with angry, upset people is not easy. It's very difficult.
No, it's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. Yeah.
Small children who disobey.
Similar,
it's different.
Similar scenario. A little bit different, but
a little bit different. But working in customer service in those kind of stressful situations, dealing with upset, angry, whatever customers, clients, whatever you want to call them, is very complicated. Yeah. So that poor, but I say poor, well, it's their job, so they have to do it. That's what they're paid for. Yeah. And they've got to try and keep a smile, stay patient.
That's right.
They can't get angry.
That's right.
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't. They should
stay polite and in control.
Absolutely.
It's what they're paid for.
Yeah.
But sometimes it must be difficult when you've got people shouting at you or insulting you or upset. So dealing with those kind of situations are very difficult.
And that's the challenge this week, right, Alistair? The challenge is to our Fluency community members to think about a scenario, a situation where they need to deal with something in particular. Okay, it might be as we mentioned, it can be an issue, a problem, a person. Any of those are fine. Yeah,
customer, client. Yeah. So any of the day-to-day. Well, it can be a particular situation or day-to-day. So the day-to-day problems, issues that you have to deal with in your job, or a particular example of an issue, a problem, a person,
absolutely,
a client, a customer that you had to deal with, and they were very difficult to deal with. That's why. Right. So give us a little story, little anecdote, and explain why was this situation difficult to deal with, or this person was difficult to deal with, and what happened. How did you solve the problem? Or maybe you couldn't.
Absolutely.
Nothing you could do in that situation.
Absolutely.
So, give us a little story about things you have to deal with or things you dealt with. The past of deal is dealt.
Yeah, that's important. That's important. That is really important, actually. It's good that we
dealt. So, last week I dealt with a very difficult customer, client, and tell the story why. What happened. No?
Yeah. Or if it's something, obviously, something that you do on a regular basis, then you can use, present simple,
present simple, every day you have to deal with difficult, problematic customers, or deal with, I don't know, difficult colleagues even.
Yeah.
Or difficult issues, situations, problems that you have to solve on a regular basis. Yeah, so it can be a regular thing, routine.
Yeah.
I routinely have to deal with all these issues in my job.
Yeah.
Or give us an example of a particular
moment in the past.
Last week I had to deal with something very complicated last week.
Yeah.
And did you deal with it? I dealt with it successfully or not?
Yeah. Good, Alistair. Perfect. Thank you very much. Really great as usual. And we'll be back with another masterclass next week.
I look forward to seeing those videos, especially with all these new members.
Yes, absolutely.
Very keen, very enthusiastic and motivated, which is what we want.
Absolutely.
So hopefully lots of new people filming themselves with the challenge.
Yeah.
And I'll be watching them and commenting as always, giving
absolutely
feedback.
That is the bonus. That is the that's the, let's say, the carrot of the whole process.
The carrot and stick. We're using the carrot, not the stick.
We use the carrot. We use the carrot, definitely. And exactly. The carrot in this case is personalized feedback from Alistair in terms of, any tiny little things that we can be improved.
Yeah,
you'll get a comment from
But of course, if you're not able to do that, well, and if you also do it, you've also got another opportunity next Thursday.
Yeah.
With one of us or both of us to actually use this and practice it. So even if you don't film yourself, think about it. Try to think, because we're going to ask you to give some examples and to talk about it with your fellow members in the masterclass live session next week. Yeah. So at least start thinking about what you're going to say.
Absolutely.
Come up with some examples.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Alistair, thank you very much. We'll speak soon next week.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers. See you then. Bye-bye.